Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Apollonia Cross. And today on Plan and Chat, I have special guest speaker, Sarah Carter, who is a parent coach, who we are going to be discussing how to parent from a healthy place because she understands the value in teaching our children how to create and set healthy boundaries. And this is something that we definitely need to discuss because, as we know, a part of our entire mission as moms is to make sure that we are raising healthy kids and setting those healthy, important boundaries. And with it being back to school season, I wanted to bring her on so she can share her expertise. So if you guys are ready to get into this topic, I cannot wait. Let me go ahead and bring her on. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Great. How are you doing, Apple?
I am doing well, doing well. So excited to have you on. And for those of you guys who are new to Plan and Chat, I'd love to bring on different speakers. And Sarah is a parent coach who specializes in helping parents learn how to develop healthy boundaries and communication skills. Without compromising their values within the first 6 foundational years of parenting. And so these, what I like to call, are the crazy years.
Yes.
These are the crazy years for us moms because there's a lot going on and our children definitely need us, but we are also trying to figure out how we can save our sanity as well at the same time. So I wanted to bring Sarah on because she is a mom of a beautiful little cute girl named Sierra, and she also helps raise her niece too. And as a parent coach, she has such an amazing experience as well as such an amazing heart to talk about this topic. And so, Sarah, go ahead and share a little bit more about yourself, and I'm just going to go.
First of all, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, Apple. I'm always excited to do these little planet chats. I love our talks. More about me is that I was a former preschool teacher. So these first foundational years are unfamiliar. I've been to school studying, got my undergrad and studying behavior, and then I got my master's in mental health and wellness with the emphasis in family dynamics. So coming out of the school system and talking to parents over the years, I realized like it really was a home issue and helping the kids have basic skills that parents need to give them before they send them out to the school. So that's been my heart and my passion, just reconnecting parents and their kids those first few years and making sure that those kids are more self-sufficient, make sure they have those basic skills so they're confident enough, because a lot of the kids, they struggle because they're like, I don't know who I am. I don't have any self-confidence. Therefore, I can't go out and do great things. So my passion sincerely is about helping parents, to realize that how we pour into them, what we say and how we say it. And now my little ones are in school, so I have full time to help parents now. So I've been through that work from home, stay at home, crazy circus.
Girl.
Now I made it out.
Yeah.
Now I have to help everybody else get out.
Yes, because it is like, and it's so great that like now us women are like in this season and also in this generation to where we're speaking up and bringing about this sisterhood of like, look, yes, your feelings are real. This struggle is very real, but you're not alone. Let's come together. Because I feel like generations before, there was just so much that was unspoken and you were just expected to figure it out. You were like just expected to know what the heck to do and know that how your kids were supposed to be. And that was just it. There was no talking about feelings, and especially there was no talking about feelings for adults, so there was nowhere near talking about feelings as a kid. Okay.
Right.
It wasn't like, and if you right, that sink or swim model. And there's a time and a place, but I think like I love it exactly what it is that you're doing is because we need to be and feel empowered. And if we had felt that way and had more of that growing up, there'd be a lot less of us going to therapy as much.
Right. Yes, that is so very true. Working through those negative emotions goes all the way back. that's why they're called the foundational years, because it's either what you learn or what you haven't learned, and then you're just trying to build on it. But if the foundation is faulty, the rest of it's going to be faulty. So then you have adult entitled people, or you have people who cut you off or ghost you because they don't know how to work through. They were never taught, so they just go through life like whatever. I'm just keep going like children.
Right. Oh my God. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Because they just did not learn how to process their emotions, or weren't taught how to process emotions like healthily and communicate with other people in their youth. So now that's all they do as adults until they learn and willingly learn to unlearn those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Or pass the toxic cycle on. Like, it's like you have a choice, but we want to choose the healthier way so that the ones down the line can be more further ahead than we are now.
Yes. Okay, girl. So let's talk to me about this healthy place of parenting, because one thing that's for sure is all of us moms have the best intentions of wanting to be the best that we can be. But it is very difficult when we are unable to do that for ourselves first, and then we're expected to try to do this for our kids. So what are some basic things that you would probably encourage a mom to really start working on doing for her children if she is not necessarily in a healthy state, or if she's like new? Because you kind of have a lot of different types of moms. You have the more seasoned mom who's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, they're fine, they'll figure it out. Like, so actually, let's bring it back a little bit, because you mentioned to me the different types of parenting styles, which I didn't even realize was the total thing. So talk to me about those parenting styles and how they benefit or don't benefit developing our kids and parenting them to have healthy emotions and boundaries and things.
Okay, so there are, I'm going to say the 4 different types. Other people said they're different. They're more than 4, but for me, there's 4 categories. There's a parent that's completely uninvolved. That's just nonchalant. It is what it is. You fed, you clean, that's it. And then there's the parent that's overly involved. So we go from one extreme to the next, and they're like, what are you doing here? What do you need to eat? What do you need to say? Like, they're all in the kid's face. So it's like a helicopter mom. Then you have and then the kid gets anxiety because it's like, mom's not giving me any space to breathe because she's always all up in my face. Another one is the parent that is, do as I say, you don't have a say so, which probably is a lot of us were raised that way. We were scared for our lives. We were just like, oh my God. Okay,
so what kind of, like, I know you're describing these, but is there like a specific category for each of these? Like, is there like a name for them?
It is. Let me get my.
Just so that way we can kind of have a little bit better like understanding, like for those of us parents who want to get help for the way that we parent and overcome some trauma for some things.
Right. So there's permissive. That's the one that's gives the child everything they ask for. Rarely enforces rules at all. Always giving the child too many questions. Now the problem with permissive parenting, are you doing problems too, or we just want to just
yes, girl, we going into it all. We're trying to get better. Okay, we got to get better.
The problem with permissive parenting is that parents don't understand children that young, that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, they only need 2 choices. Just 2, because their minds can't fathom so many, and they're so impulsive. And it's like the more you just let them have free range, the more you're going to let them think that they're in control. This tells a child, my mom and my dad don't know what's best for me. So anytime they tell me no, I'm going to throw a fit so I can be in control again.
Oh, so now you raise a manipulator.
Right. Exactly. And then they just do whatever it takes to get what they want because they know to push the button, because they know our buttons. They know our buttons. The next one is the neglectful parent. That's the one that is just like not involved. They're absent. It's kind of like no nurture, no guidance, nothing. Sarah, whatever will be, they'll be fine. Problem with that is there's no nurturement. There's teaching them more of the abandonment factor. Like there's no support. There's no teaching on how to deal with stuff. It's just like, figure it out. And a child, because their mind is so impulsive and they operate mostly out of the right brain, which is emotions and reacting. As parents, we're supposed to teach them to connect the logic side to the reactive side so they can process it. But the one that's not involved, neglectful, they don't teach them anything. So the child may actually later on have more behavioral issues, may grow up to have substance abuse issues, like just get into all kinds of trouble because they know that nobody really cares or supports them. And they inadvertently reject any kind of love because it's like, that's foreign to me. Like, you're not really here to help me, you know? Yeah, you don't want the babies to grow up like that. The third is, which is my favorite, authoritative. Now, that's a parent that helps their kids solve problems. They set clear rules and expectations. They're consistent with it, and they give their kids a valued voice. So it's more of a trustful, like, hey, I'm going to tell you no sometimes, and I want you to understand why, but I ultimately want you to trust my decision. But I'll also give you time to choose, because I want you to be more self-sufficient, and I want you to feel comfortable and excited about who you are and where you're going. The final is authoritarian. That's to do as I say. Don't ask questions. You don't have a value voice. Yeah, like old school. You better get in this car.
You better get in this car seat before I smash you by your throat. Like,
it's strict rules and punishment out of the wazoo. And I think the dangers about that is, like, you don't really want to punish them. You want to discipline them with effective measures that teaches them, like, dang, I shouldn't have done that because, versus just being punished for doing something and you never really learn a lesson as to why you shouldn't do it again. Yeah, and it kind of just takes away from their emotional and social behavior skills too, because now that they think, since so much was taken from me, any person that I interact with, I need to be in control of that conversation so they don't take advantage. So now the kids are on, you know what I'm saying? They're on like that defense, and you don't want that. You really want a trustful relationship where as they grow and get older, you're aware of what they're capable of, and then you speak life and you work them through it. So in a nutshell, that's all for.
No, like that's very valuable. And like, now I know you and I have had conversations outside of, because we talk, girl, we talk.
Yeah,
but like, now let's talk about parenting and culture. Okay. Because raising, we're melanin, right? We've team melanin. And there are differences, and we talked about that. Sadly, there's the Black way of parenting, there's white parenting, let's put it out there. But you said something that was really, really valuable, that really hit home, and I feel like it's so important to speak on, because especially for African American culture, we're seeing so many kids being raised up so poorly, and it's because there's been the values in, like what you're saying, this foundational, teaching them healthy boundaries, healthy communicational skills, and helping them learn how to trust, and understand how to communicate from a healthy place and manage their emotions. I feel like this is why that those generational curses and those toxic belief systems continue to keep getting passed on, is because we are not doing our part as parents to own some things and really be like, no, I'm going to change the way this is happening. And you said, what did you tell me? I'm gonna let you say it because I don't remember and I don't want to butcher it. But
which one? Which part?
So, because you had mentioned, because I told you, I was like, that's funny that you mentioned that, because it's like, I remember hearing growing up, well, that's white people parenting, right?
It's interesting how it is labeled that way, but it's a cop out to me. It's not really a race thing, because they have their challenges too. They're known to be overly permissive and let their kids do whatever, and that's proof to be entitlement, and they wake. Kids grow up that way, but it's not even really a race thing. I think people just have it confused as to what a healthy family unit looks like.
Right.
Even culture-wise for us, like the whole like beating our kids or whatever like that, without any real, the punishment factor is without any real explanation, without any real letting our kids know, like, there's an expectation for you to be a valuable part in this family. Like maybe in other cultures where they do teach family value, they do teach the importance of respecting your elders. It's a village aspect. For us, it's not, and it's unfamiliar. But like you were saying, like it really is up to the parents to pay attention to whatever triggers you have as a person, and then your triggers and your parenting also. Like why is a tantrum or a breakdown uncomfortable for you? Because immediately your go-to is like, let me just shut the kid up, or let me get him quiet, or whatever, instead of they're acting out because they may not understand something, or they're frustrated. And what your job is to get them calm first, so they can actually hear what you're saying. And as soon as you get them calm, then you start explaining it to them. Because from what I've learned over the years and studied and read books about children and the way that their brains develop in every stage, as young as the infant stage, they understand everything that you're saying. They just can't reply it. And the more that you speak to them, the way that we talk to each other, like honestly being open, like, hey, I love you, these are your boundaries, the more the connections in their brains began to form. And the more connection, the more understanding, and then they can regurgitate that back when they start talking, and that's how people say that their kids are like super smart or advanced. It's because no, parents really they've decided to take time to be like, hey, I'm not going to let my kid grow up the same way that I did. I'm going to acknowledge where I feel short, and then I'm going to be educated, because you got to be educated as to what age group it is. You got to be educated on their basic milestone development, and then you build from there, based off of your family values. So culture wise, we have a long way to go. We're getting there, but we do have a long way to go as far as redefining what a healthy family unit looks like, running up to the previous upbringings that we've had, and then seeking help in education, which is why you and I do what we do, because we tackle both sides. You get the mental health aspect, and then I'll do more of the kids side, the parenting side. So it works out just fine. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, it really did, because like I think that's like what you said, like for maternal mental health, it's so crazy how it's kind of designed that we struggle with it. Now bringing in a spiritual aspect of this, right? Because you and I are both believers, we're both Christian. And so being straight up honest, there's a reason why the devil loves to attack women, because we're the ones who are primarily ones in charge of doing better for our children, raising them up. Like obviously dads are around and they help, but this is still mainly on us. And so if we are so broken and lost with being so stressed out and overwhelmed ourselves, we are nowhere able to be there and be present for our children. And this is where the devil loves to play that crazy favorite part, because if he can get to us, he can get to the children, and then it continues on to the whole next generation, these generational curses. So yeah, like what you're saying, like it is a lot. It is a lot to take on, but like what you said is taking on that ownership and recognizing and stepping up to be like, no, like I understand my part. I need to work on my part, but I need to make sure that this does not get passed on to the next generation. And that's like, I feel like, so with you and how you coach and talk to parents, do you really talk to them a lot? I know your focus is more on helping them develop as a parent, so that way they can teach their kids those healthy boundaries and things. But do you also make sure that you encourage, or do you encourage the parents too, and letting them know like, hey, you are, the fact that you even care this much to hire a parent coach and work through these things, like it is something to celebrate.
Yes, I definitely do. I make it a point to, because it's not easy to ask for help. And it's funny you mentioned culture. Our culture is like, it's all about me. I'm self-made. Nah, you lying, because you need help.
Just like helping you, auntie helping you, cousins, all of them. Hey, like somebody helping you.
Somebody watching your baby while you go to work. Okay, you are not self-made.
Even if it's the system, somebody.
That's so true though. Like that's the crazy, and it's like you always want to uplift somebody else and be like, hey, I see that you're trying. I see that you actually need help. And I always tell my client, I'm grateful that you chose me, because that means you trust that what I'm doing and everything that I've been working on and giving back to you is gonna transform your relationship, because that's the goal when it comes to parent coaching. And I let them know, like, hey, it is not easy. It's not at all. I said, but the fact that you showed up to do this, to actually put in the work, it's going to pay off later. All you have to do is be consistent in the small things every single day. Like, I tell them, I'm proud of you, because there are days as mom, I know I'd be wanting to give up. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just quit. She could be mediocre, and God be like, no, because you can't give up.
Girl, it be them days. But honestly, I think it's okay for you to have a mental health day. Like it 100% give yourself permission. Like if it's that day, or if Aunt Flo's,
Yeah.
like my kids know when Sharkeisha, which is just when mom is on her cycle, and I start turning into Sharkeisha, everybody understands mom just needs a little bit more rest time.
Yeah.
And that's so healthy. And especially, I know something that I had to work on, because I wanted my kids to know that they had a voice. I wanted them to know that their opinions matter, and that helps them with learning how to work together as a team. Even when they go out into the workforce, whether they decide to build their own businesses, be good employees or anything, like they will be able to be the leaders, to be the ones to take on these roles, right? To these leadership roles, and bring everyone together and take everyone into a team, and take everyone's information and create this beautiful village, like what you're talking about. I love that you said that, because like you're right, as Americans and also just straight up in Black culture, it's very much like um it's all on me, everything is for me, everything's self-made, and the culture celebrates that. And nowadays it's starting to kind of that hustle and grind solo voyager mentality is starting to heal a little bit. I feel like, especially after the effects of COVID, it's definitely starting to heal a little bit. And people are starting to wake up and be like, wait a minute, like there's something wrong.
Yes.
We need to get back to like prioritizing family and all these things, because our babies are out here. For some, like it's sad, because it's like our babies are raising themselves, because we haven't been able to manage and deal with our own stuff to be present enough to parent our kids, period. Like some parents, I could see some kids, I'm like, oh my God, they like, your parents really just copped out. Like, or I hate to say that because it sounds so horrible, but they just were not able to be in a healthy place themselves in order to be the parent that you needed. That's a better way to say that.
Yes. That's perfect.
So for you, now getting us kind of back on topic, because we understand, like we talked about the importance of it, we talked about how detrimental it is, and needing to get back to those foundations. So what are some basic foundational things that are not too crazy to do and not too overwhelming or overpowering, but some things that are very simple that can be implemented on a daily basis to start opening up and helping build those healthy communication skills, and teaching our kids boundaries, and also self-sufficiency, and learning how to manage their emotions, because those are all, it's interesting, because we would think those are basic things, or what we like to say is common sense, but it's really not. Like common sense ain't that common, right?
No, it ain't. That's true. It's not.
Right. It's common sense is actually something that's taught. Like it's crazy, because we think it's common sense, but then we realize like, oh, like it's just not common because you was not taught.
Yep. And it has to be taught. It has to be taught. Like you have to know where your child is. So for me, since it's foundational years, you have to educate yourself or hire me so you can learn about their milestones, because that's basically what I do. I'm like, okay, I have a client, I want to know what their goals are. I want you to know exactly where your child should be at this milestone, and then I always ask about routines and things like that. But whatever basic skills they need to have right now, that's something that you could start educating yourself with. And if they don't have it, then I would say you're their first teacher. So at home, you would have to play simple games that build on the skill. And again, like I stated before, children only need two choices. And then you'd have to explain to them. A lot of it is modeling. It's modeling the response. It's being like, hey, instead of saying this, try this. That's a boundary in itself, because that teaches like, oh, this is the expectation that mommy has of me. This is what I cannot do, but this is what I can do, because kids need specific examples. Like, what can I do? Like if they get upset or something like that, you cannot take off and run away, because we may be out in public somewhere. Now, if you cry, that's fine. You may stomp your feet, but don't take off. No screaming or yelling, anything like that. And then I would say definitely be patient. Make it as consistent as you can and have that routine already in place, because children learn best through consistency and through routines. Another thing that they can do is connect with them. Are we doing the three topics that we talked about?
Yeah, so we'll bring that up. I know we're kind of just talking, but yeah, no, we'll go into those quick 3 topics. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So routines is first, especially if it's back to school. You want to let them know, hey, we're going back to school. Our schedule's going to change up. Some parents are visual. They need a list. Some parents just need to just go off the top of their head. But designate a space for book bags, designate a space for lunch bags, routines as far as prepping the night before, because nobody wants to get up and just scramble for their lives on a school day, so routines are heavily important. If their child is old enough to brush your teeth on their own, you know what? I would really love to see you do that. So that's like an empowerment type of thing. Can you change your own clothes? I'd be so proud, with whatever incentive you see fit. Number 2 is connecting with them at the beginning and ending of every day. One thing that I love about children is that they love that embrace and just holding on to them. When I wake my daughter up for school, that's the first thing I do. I hug on her. I say, good morning. I'm so glad you're awake. Like, compliment them. And even when they come home from school, if they need to decompose or play, that's fine. But connect with them, just so they know that there is a space for open communication and they know that you care. And then playing. Oh my God, playing. Purposeful play is what I call it. Because I know as parents, like we have so many things to do. We have a list, and it's just like we get so far-fetched from playing and being kids ourselves, letting that inner child just have a good time. Take some time when they first get home. They got so much pent-up energy from sitting in a desk, getting in the line, get your own food, put your bag away. And it's like when I get home and go crazy. So play with them when they first get home, whether it's like a pillow fight, hide and seek, tag, like that. It releases a lot of energy. But if I had to put them in order, the routines first, because we got to have those no matter what. The second thing is playing, because we got to let them release that energy. And then the third thing would be to connect with them and ask them how they're doing or how their day went. So those are my 3 tips.
And I love that too, because if you think of it, like, obviously all of us moms, when we think of self-care, we want to be alone. We want to be alone. We want to be getting catered to because we're tired, right? But that is not, honestly, period, point blank, it's not realistic, and it's not something that we can do consistently every single day for ourselves. It's just not.
Yep.
And so instead of getting pissed off and frustrated about that, these tips that you shared are exactly what I also help my clients building too, is helping them build a consistent routine for themselves. Mm-hmm. And when you build a consistent routine that prioritizes your own personal needs as well as your children's, mm-hmm. then you create this harmony with motherhood and parenting. And so that way your needs are being met because you've made sure that your lifestyle and your routine is in alignment with that. But then also you've taken into consideration like your kids and what your kids needs and things are. Um, and that might extend your day. It may not necessarily be ideal. Like I personally, I had to learn to like waking up early in the
Yes.
morning because my kids are early risers. So this may or may not be your cup of tea, but again, it is for my sanity. Okay.
Yep. Yep. I gotta get up earlier. I gotta get up earlier.
I got
I
because
need that.
again,
I need that.
right. Parenting from a healthy place takes intentional self-care time that is needed because I need to make sure I am in a healthy place before I can parent in a healthy place, period, point blank. And so having a routine that complements that, like you said, and staying with that consistent, not necessarily perfect, is
Right.
like, I love that you said it's the foundation because it truly is. You can't do anything unless you get that routine built in. And that teaches you, again, that makes you take ownership to your things and setting those boundaries.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that models the same, like what you said, for your children. So they understand that. And it sounds like we're actually parenting ourselves while we're also parenting our children. True
Yep.
or false?
True. Very true. Very true. Because if you don't handle your stuff, then there's no way you can really teach them. A lot of the parents don't like to admit it, but a lot of the reason why their children act the way that they do is because of the lack of consistency and the lack of routines that they have. Because children get empowered and they get excited about who they are and what they can do from being consistent. Oh, I know mommy's about to do this, so let me help her. Or I know I'm about to do this, so let me get ready. That promotes that self-responsibility for them. But they don't have it if, as parents, we are not responsible. So yes, you're parenting. You're getting yourself up and being like, nope, we got to do it. Let's go. Let's do it. Yes.
I feel like that was a loving attack on all of us.
Yeah, it was the nicest way I can put it. Like, girl, get up. Girl,
Hey, and it's okay that it's hard. And I think that's something that I want to encourage all my moms out there. Like, your children need to see that it is hard. Your children need to know that they're going to have to do hard things they don't feel like doing, but they're also need to be able to see if mommy can get up, you can get up. Because a lot of my clients that I deal with are more moms who are struggling and trying to overcome their postpartum anxiety and depression. And we feel like we want to just get fixed and then I can be better. And we can't just be fixed.
Yes.
Your kids have to see it all. But when your kids see all the ups and downs, just like when you're building your business, like when your kids see you building the ups and downs of a business and they see you on the top of that mountain, they're going to be like, if mom did it, I can do it too. And the same thing with our own mental emotions and our own personal mental health, and having these healthy conversations with our kids about it, it gives them permission to do the same. And that way we can work on healing and loving each other together. And I feel like it is scary. It is very scary because we feel like we have to have it all together and we're perfect. And we can't be a hot mess mom because our kids can't see it because they need to see me strong. But like, this is a part of that. And so kind of just getting back onto topic, because I feel like we go on topic and off just because we get so excited about this topic.
We could go on.
Right. No, but literally, like, getting back to basics is purely, honestly, like, with parenting from a healthy place, you also have to parent yourself lovingly and make sure you're in a healthy place too. So getting those routines and being consistent with it, not perfect at it, but consistent with it. And taking that, I don't know, find something to celebrate, maybe.
Yeah, that's important too, because we all need that. And I know, like, we've talked about like the different personality tests that you can take, and everybody's personality is different, but it can be categorized. What is the Enneagram? I think that was the name of it.
Yeah, the Enneagram.
We need to be encouraged. Like, we need to find something to celebrate, or else we think it's all task orientated and we have to prove, to be ourselves. And you really don't. Like, you celebrate the small wins. So, like, if I got here, then I can go further. And it's about the process of growing into a healthier version of yourself and parenting from that place. And the consistency will keep you there with the routines, because you always know, like, some days, like you said, you won't have it, and you grace yourself like, all right, well, we'll try it again tomorrow. Today's kind of an off day, and everybody's going to be freestyling, and that's fine. Mommy's not at her best, and mommy's admitting it. I'm quick to tell my daughter, like, hey, mommy's not feeling her best today, so I'm going to let you play, do a little more independent play, things that you could do on her own. But yeah, definitely that's a huge thing. You have to grace yourself and be patient, because everybody's norm is different. Everybody needs that encouragement of like, what can I celebrate today, even though it was a rough day. Mine is always, I've made it to the end of a struggle day. Like, there are days on end where I've been like, I'm spiraling because I feel like this day is not ever going to end. But on my hard days now, I'm like, you know what? I'm glad that I made it to the end of a hard day, and be like, this is what I learned today about myself. I didn't spiral this time, or I didn't completely check out. That's really huge, to find things to be grateful for in the midst of the struggle, because God is in everything. He's in the struggle too. That's where you learn yourself most of all. So.
Right. And like you said, with our kids, that's the same exact thing that we want our kids to learn, because when they're no longer in our nest, they are going to need to learn how to be self-sufficient adults. And so having, like you said, the consistent routine, learning how to process and celebrate their wins. Like you said, celebrating wins, acknowledging when they're not at their best, that it's interesting that we're talking about this for kids. Like you're saying, this is the first foundational 6, right? Those first foundational 6 years, but we don't think about it that way, especially where, the schools mainly push talking about, they need to have their name, they need to know colors and blah, 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 blah. But we're not talking about the mental and emotional health aspect that the kids highly need to learn, especially when they go into school around strangers.
Right.
They have to, how are we going to teach our kids that? Because they're not going to learn that in school. They need to learn how to do that. And so that way, whenever something does happen, like, our kids can communicate, and also communicate very clearly what's going on with them, what happened to them, what they did compared to what someone else did, and all of those things. And taking responsibility for their own emotions and compared to someone else's. And that's like so important too. And like you said, so that's a part of connecting, right? As you said, take some time to connect with your kids, and that helps them develop healthy communication healthy communication skills. And so how do these things, now just kind of tying it up with back to school, so how do these things really help the kids be more successful when it comes into a school setting? Because for you focus on those first 6 years, so kids, especially if they haven't been in preschool or daycare or anything, like, all of this is being learned at home, and then now all of a sudden they're going into this classroom setting. So what is it, how are you seeing, or how can we be better with preparing our kids for that classroom setting by teaching them these foundational things about their emotions and their mindset and those boundaries?
Yes. I would say emotion. I would say make sure their parents are playing games that children can actually name what they're feeling, not just the happy emotions, but the sad ones too. Sad, angry, jealous, disappointed, frustrated. Like, those 5 are the ones that kids have the most difficulty naming, and if they can't name it, they'll either go by themselves, they'll run away, They'll
Oh,
fall out. Yeah, because I'm saying this because I've seen it and help parents, and even on my own with my littles, they've dealt with it. Runaways, screaming or yelling to fall out, going by themselves, or just saying, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know, or not, or shutting down altogether and not saying anything. It's important that as parents that we don't send our kids away. It's hard because the yelling and crying is a lot, but it's like, okay, I'm going to let you get this out, but I want you to know what feeling this is. You're feeling jealous of what your sister or what somebody else has, and this is why. And I want to tell you this so the next time you have this feeling, you can say it to me. And if you can say it to me as your parent, you can tell your teacher when something else is going on in school, because, the teacher, they do their best, but they have a whole class. And as parents, we want to make sure that our children know are familiar with how they're feeling, so they can not only tell us, but tell the strangers that they're going to be around 5 days a week. And be comfortable of telling them that, like, simple things like I'm hungry or I'm sleepy, or give the teacher a heads up. Hey, they did not have a good night. Like, this morning has been crazy. Just be on the heads up, because we want to make sure that as teachers and parents, we're all on the same team, and we just want the best outcome for our kids. So I would say really helping your children identify what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and then teaching them that these feelings are normal and it's okay. And I'm going to help you navigate back to the shores of sanity and peace, so that they can come back too. Because some children go to the extreme of screaming and hollering and they get stuck there. Parents don't know they're not really aware of how bad it can get. So it happens in a different setting. And then now the parent has to go to the school and calm the child down, because teachers are like, I'm not touching somebody's kid. You better go get me fired. Or be like, this is too early for this. So I gotta go. Yes.
I feel it.
So yeah, really helping your kids work through that negative and say, hey, I know that you can do this. And that goes back to encouraging the kid, just like we need to encourage and celebrate our wins too. I've seen you do XYZ. Whatever specific instance of where they've grown or shown, more responsibility on their level, and then say, I know you can grow a little bit further, and start telling me versus showing, and I'm going to help you work through that and help them name it. So that would be, as far as the emotions go, I feel like that would be the best. And then how to come down off that ledge too, because it's like you can get frustrated, but remember, you're still in school. You still have the rest of the day. If it's in the morning, you still have the rest of the day. Don't let that cause you to see, the rest of the day differently. So that would be a big help for parents, I think, first. Emotions identification.
Yeah, that's a lot. And it sounds like it is a whole lot to take on for these little kids, as well as for the parent who has to deal with it. And it can be a lot, but it doesn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that you said like routines, consistency with that, building healthy routines, and then playing for 30 minutes. And that one I think is really huge, because like you said, like we get so focused on doing, busy. So if we sit and play, and even if we just take the kids to the park and just sit there while they play, it still gives everybody a chance to disconnect from the chaos of everything going on, and being able to just woosah and just disconnect, and then like you said, connect with each other afterwards. So how was your day? How did you say? And then I think that's really healthy to be able to have these conversations with our kids, because like you said, especially you said it was the authoritarian, to where that type of parenting style, it's like, no, do what I say, don't say anything, blah blah blah. Like, you want to develop in your kids to be okay. It's safe for you to talk to mom or dad. Like, it's safe for you to talk to me, and because I'm also talking to you, and there's this communication. And I know there's a lot of things with people saying, like, you're just trying to be your kids' friend.
No. I won't say I'm not Sierra's friend. I am that is my style though, to create that trustful relationship. But I do also teach her. There are other times when mommy cannot. I say, Sierra, mommy is not in a good headspace right now, and I need a few minutes, to come back to. So I'm like, just give me mommy a few minutes, just like I give you space. And I give her space because sometimes she gets, at the end of the day, she'll get overwhelmed and be like, mommy, I just want to be in my room for a minute. And I'll be like, but I want to hug you. But I have to respect that space. She's telling me, so who am I to go against that and be like, no, tell me about your day and everything that happened, and of course we worked through a lot of times where she hasn't been able to, but it is important that we are honest with our kids. Sometimes we feel like talking, sometimes we don't. Same with them. Like, it's just really teaching them, like, this is what I'm feeling right now. And if you just give me a few minutes while you're at the park, sit on the bench, breathe for a minute while they're swinging or running around. And then, maybe later that'll help with that. Just to teach them, like, relationships are different and you have different feelings in different moments and you learn each other that way. And eventually Sierra knows now, like, if I don't initially wake up, she'd be like, mommy's probably sleeping. Let me not wake her up. Let me just go in my room and play with my stuff. And I'm like,
oh my God. And that is a beautiful thing. Okay. When your children can understand mommy sleeps, so let her have her peace, because I know she's tired at a young age. Because I don't know about y'all, my children be like, mommy, what are we doing today? and my kids wake up 6 o'clock on the dot in the morning. Talk about what's the plans for today?
What's the plan at 6 in the morning? Bam, my coffee, my tea.
Right. So me and my littles we're working on it. I have my older kids and they know better, but my little ones, we're still working on respecting mommy's space. And so I love that you said that in communicating. I have recognized just in some of the tips that you've shared with me and some of the things that we've been working on, like, I have been seeing such a major difference. It is a lot more work when it seems like it would be easier to just snap and just pop. Like, it would be so easier.
That's why it was work for us, right?
Right. I got slapped in the mouth a couple times. Right. Let's just learn now. Right. Like, it's okay. Right. I'm fine. Like, yeah.
I'm cool.
Right. Like, but it is a lot more work to try to talk, but the payoff is so much better because I'm seeing her. She's very much communicating so much clearer and reaffirming some things that I don't even see a lot of adults do either. So she'll be like, so mom, we're doing this. You're going to do this first and then I'm going to do that. Right. Okay. Like, a lot of these communication skills, and now that I'm putting in the work now, like, she'll be so much more advanced down the road. And it's beautiful to see the fruits of your labor in that way being paid off. Even though it's hard and you do just want to just snap sometimes a little bit, right? Like, it would be so much easier. But it is so much more, like, it's so much more, it feels so much better when you finally do see those fruits of your labor and you could be like, okay, it was worth it in the end. It's all worth it in the end. And then that way when your kids do get ready to go to school, you confidently know, like, no, I know my children know how to communicate. I know that they know what they're going through and all of those things. No worries. But yeah, like, such a beautiful thing. So anyways, we have had such an amazing conversation on this. I'm so glad that you were able to come on and share your wisdom and your background on this topic and helping us learn how to parent better from a healthier place. And also just relate the importance and the need for this, especially in today's day and age, how valuable it really is. So can you just let everybody know if they are interested in working with you as their parent coach, or what additional resources that they can connect you to you with? That would be great.
Yes. So number one, I'm on Facebook. It's Sarah, my first name, SarahP, and then capital P Coach Carter. So it's SarahP CoachCarter for Facebook. And then for Instagram, It's different. And nothing's capitalized on this one, by the way. It's my first name, Sarah, and then a period, and then P Coach Carter. So Sarah, period, P Coach Carter. And on my Instagram, it's a Calendly link, or you can shoot me a direct message. I have free 30-minute sessions for parents who just want to get an idea, or if you want to sign up for my parent coaching program. I have a 3-month intensive where we're really going to dive into like transforming your family relationships. So shoot me a message and I would love to help you guys. Don't get caught in arguments. That's the one thing I want to leave with y'all. Don't get caught in arguing with your kids, because it's easy for the children who are dominant. They know how to reel you in and be like, let me get mommy all riled up today. But don't fall for it. Tell me you love them too much to argue, and your word is final. So,
that's empowering. It's like, I don't need to argue, because we'll get caught up in that.
And it's gonna be two kids arguing. That's what it's gonna look like. It's not gonna be an adult and a kid. It's gonna be two little kids. Well, you said no.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. And that is so true. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that, because again, it puts us back into that childish place to where we start going back and forth and dang, okay.
Apple's getting revelations.
Yeah, just a little bit, that loving attack, just lightweight, just a little bit.
I'm gonna help you come a little higher. We're gonna come up.
Right. But thank you so much again, Sarah, for coming on. This was great. This was so much fun. And for those of you guys who have stayed with us the whole time and enjoyed this, whether you're listening on the podcast or you are watching this replay on YouTube, thank you guys so much. I'll make sure to post all the links to connect with her down below in the description, as well as in the podcast. You guys will be able to see all of that information there. So, all right, you guys, thanks again for hanging out. And again, Sarah, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day. I really appreciate you.
I know, girl. I love you. Anytime. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys, have a good rest of your day.